Alright, here is my honest review of Botchan by Sōseki Natsume. So this book was actually one of my favorites. I specifically love Natsume as his ability to storytell through characters and through their interactions with other characters is like no other. The first book that I read by Sōseki was I Am a Cat, back probably about a year ago now. And the way that Cold Moon and the main master of the cat were portrayed through their interactions with each other was masterfully done. And I think that that's just as masterfully done in Botchan. And the overarching theme is it's kind of a coming of age story of this young hot-headed kid who eventually becomes a math teacher for a school out in the countryside of Japan, and he's still this hot-headed kid when he gets there. And as you progress throughout the story, he undergoes trials by his principal, vice principal, other teachers, and he learns what it means to be a little bit more cool-headed by the end. Obviously, people don't change completely, and I think that's very well portrayed in Botchan. But overall, the way that the character Botchan progresses throughout the story in learning what it means to have allies, learning what it means to not throw in the towel at every moment, is very indicative of coming of age. And he slowly gains this air about him of respect by his peers. So I think the biggest moment in the book, in my opinion, that struck me as Natsume did this really well is near the end, obviously spoilers, there is a fight between the school that Botchan teaches at and a neighboring rivalry school in the woods, the sticks of Japan. And the way that the story progresses is Botchan and the other math teacher at his school kind of join the fight, I suppose. They start by trying to break it up, and then eventually it turns into they join and start having to hit kids because the kids are hitting them, and they're trying to break up this fight. And the math teacher that is friends with Botchan comes and is a lot more mature about the whole situation, but it breaks into the news that these two teachers got involved with this rivalry fight, and the teacher is forced to resign, the one that isn't Botchan, the other math teacher. And the way that Botchan approaches this is, along with the other math teacher, he submits his resignation to the school. And although that may seem hot-headed at the time, Botchan and the other math teacher go to this, it's the red light district of this city, and they snoop on the vice principal. And they learn that the vice principal is going and seeing these red light district people. And as you go throughout the ending of the story, you learn that there's this scandalous nature of this school. And right at the final moment, after they catch the vice principal, after everything's kind of wrapped up, after the other math teacher is going to go off to his own adventure, Botchan goes home, and he takes care of his old mother-in-law, kind of adoptive mother, as his mother was never there, and his father was very not kind, very abusive. And he goes home and he takes care of her and moves into this house and just has a chill life, finds another job, and it's a very settled down ending compared to the start of the book. You start with this hot-headed kid who gets himself into trouble, he's messing with neighbors, he's ruining things all over town, and then near the end of the book, he's in the same sort of area, but instead of him being a hot-headed little kid, he's this settled-down adult, very mature, he knows where he is. And I think that it's a very nice narrative on what people assume to be adulthood and what adulthood really is, I suppose. As Botchan starts out as this teacher who has these wild inclinations to do whatever he wants, and then he slowly learns that you can't just do whatever you want. Obviously, there's some heavy restrictions by other teachers, so at one point, he goes to a noodle shop, and he's made fun of for this noodle shop. He gets dumplings, he's made fun of for eating dumplings, and then he's kind of scolded by the other teachers, you can't eat dumplings, it's a bad example for your students, which is a bit absurd. Obviously in Western culture, for teachers not to be able to eat the food that they want to eat. but it's very interesting because it gives an idea to Botchan that you can't just go into the world doing whatever you want. And I think that throughout the whole book, it's a very nice message that we learn throughout our years that we are people of a society. And at the end of the book, when Botchan goes back and takes care of his adoptive mother, more like his maid, it's a very nice idea of closure to the youthfulness and the problems that he faced in his youth. Because at the very end, he settles down, he learns what it is to be stable, and he finally gives thought into his future. And I think that this is a very good book for anybody coming of age. I read it when I was 18. It's a very good book when you're in the midst of going into college, you're going into the workforce, whatever you plan to do, in order to kind of see a story from a masterful author, mind you, of a coming-of-age story of somebody in Japan. Because obviously Western culture is different from Eastern culture, and there's certain messages that I can't understand from this book, but there are certainly messages that are universally human. And I think that Natsume portrays this perfectly in his book, Botchan. Thanks so much, and that was Corn Reviews. If you need anything else, or if you want to hear me review any other books, just let me know. Leave them in the comments. That's it for me.